The mic is working, right? You've heard that, the priest was saying Mass at the beginning and the mic wasn't working. And he said at the beginning of Mass, there's something wrong with the microphone. And the congregation said, and also with you. It's not funny. I am so flooded with memories. Most of you probably were not here, if not probably all of you just about. I gave a parish mission here in 1980. Okay? It was 30 years ago. I don't look any different, but it was 30 years ago, and they professionally filmed it, and they packed this place. It was a wonderful time. And as Ron said, I am a Redemptorist, and I live at the Rock Church with Dave Pollock and, Father Dave, and Pete Chavich, Pete, and I'm the superior there, so I'm their boss, And try that on sometime, They're incapable of listening. But I've learned this about authority or being a leader. I've learned this. It took a long time. My Irish grandmother Rose said to me one day, "Authority is like soap. The more you use it, the less you have." Interesting observation. And if I have to keep telling you that I'm in charge, I'm probably not. Right? Those are kind of obvious things. But I live at the Rock there, and I travel. I give a lot of retreats and missions and things like that around the country, and I give a lot of deacon retreats and priest retreats and sister retreats, and I enjoy all that, I was really happy this past week because I grew up in Kansas City. And I have a twin brother back there in Kansas City who's a psychiatrist, and he's also crazy. But so I went with him, and I was with him and his wife and the kids and stuff. They're all grown, and we watched the game, and it was just wonderful. It was wonderful. Okay, being from there, and I love everything about Kansas City. And I'll tell you straight up, okay, and you're not going to like this. I can't stand the Cardinals. Okay? I don't like them. They're still complaining about Don Denkinger, I mean, get over it. You lost. But anyways, but I'm just funny coming back here, and I think about being here for that mission and the whole experience of that, and the experience of God's Spirit, given to you and me. Not to make us nicer people with better morals, but to make us all brand new creations, prophets, lovers, who surrender every day to the mystery of God's Spirit and live an ever greater fidelity to the all-present Word of God. That's the gift of a lived faith, That's what we share when we come here for Eucharist, the gift of faith. All right? And I like to tell people this. When they'll say to me, "Oh, Father Tom, I'm praying for more faith." No. That's ridiculous. You praying for more faith? You got enough. You got enough. You don't need to be praying for more faith. You got enough. All right? Yeah, I want to look at the second reading today. You heard the first reading, or the gospel about light and salt, and you hear that all the time because when you hear that from Matthew, you've heard it so many times, millions of times. I was looking at you from the altar when Ron was reading it, and you're all in your pious coma. You've heard it 9 million times, right? It was Chesterton who said about you and me, "You Christians keep hearing the gospel over and over again, but I don't think you really seem to hear it." All right? But that second reading is the one that got me this past week. All right? You don't even remember it now. All right? And that's okay. All right? Paul went to Corinth. to preach the gospel. All right? And he says in that reading, he says, now, when I got to you here in Corinth, this seaport town, he said, I didn't try to sway you with intellectual fancy words or putting down this or that, or try to convince you with fancy argument or get you to be impressed with me because I could say this or that. No, 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 no. I didn't do that. He said, when I got to you in Corinth, this is what I did. I preached nothing but Jesus Christ and Christ crucified. Okay? I spoke the truth to you, unvarnished, clear, and respectful. Okay? I shared with you the grace that is given to me by the power of God and the immeasurable scope of God's power in all of us who believe. That's what I did. I shared the grace of honest conversation with you. How do we know this? Because right before he went there, he was in Athens, which was the intellectual center of the world. You can read about it in the Acts of the Apostles. And when he was there, he tried to convince them with intellectual argument and fancy words, and tried to sway them, and tried to catch them and trap them and all this fancy stuff. That's when he went to Corinth after that, and he said, I'm not doing that anymore. He learned his lesson because they said when he got done, people said, perhaps we'll listen to you some other time about this stuff. He said, oh no, I'm not going to do that ever again. Okay? He learned the grace of honest and truthful conversation. And by the way, where is the grace ultimately? It's in the conversation. Okay? Now, all right? You and I feel safe to say, as far as citizens and the politics of today, I have never witnessed this in my life. Okay? And just bringing it up, what bothers me is that people go into camps like I'm a Republican or I'm a Democrat or I'm an independent. That has nothing to do with anything. What is going on today is deplorable. There is no grace in conversation. There's none. None. And it's frightening to me. It's frightening to me that this is happening. That people on all sides, whatever, speak this way. And would you, when you're sitting there as a mother or father, would you say, yeah, I want my daughter to be like him or to be like her? I want my son to be like that. I want my son or my daughter to speak that way. I don't care what your political persuasion is, but I know truth when I see it. And this kind of conversation is out of bounds. It is way out of bounds. Okay? And even more so for us who claim to believe that when we think we are right, even more so do we need the grace of conversation. Even more so. Okay? Paul knew that. He tried the first stuff in Athens and saw how pathetic it was. And when he went to Corinth, he changed to the grace of conversation. That I can disagree with you no matter what, but I need to do it gracefully. That is incumbent. I obligate myself as a human being first and as a believer to speak that way. I'm obligated to that. And I cannot throw it overboard. I cannot push it aside and say, well, I'm right, therefore I'm going to condemn you. We can be very wrong for thinking we are so very right. The grace is in the conversation. I spend a lot of my life working with people who struggle with addiction, okay? I was in treatment many, many years ago for addiction. And I've been clean and sober for many, many years, okay? Now, when I was in treatment, people were there for 4 months. I was there for 7. I'll let you figure that out. But what I found in all of that experience, and today in working with people who